Hi guys, welcome to another insightful episode of the Millennial Talk Show, where we talk about issues that affect millennials and how to deal with them. Well, it has been an exciting month as we have addressed diverse conversations or diverse topics on the show. And today is not going to be any different. As we are in a political season, we would be looking at something in the political light. Well, as the countdown to the 2023 elections gathers momentum, significant times draw near as all the political parties are expected to conclude their primaries from the position of the state of the House of Assembly members to the office of the president. Nigeria has a huge demographic of youngsters between the age of 18 to 35, constituting over 60% of the population. Now, this means that the Millennial and the Gen Z are a potent force that could not be ignored amid the elections. Unfortunately, in the past elections, since the return of Nigeria to the Fourth Republic in 1999, the participation of young people has not been effective as expected. As I said earlier, we are in another election cycle. Hence, today, we would be discussing why Nigerian millennials should shrug off the political apathy towards elections. And my guest is a political analyst, Mr. Demola Olarenwaju. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Josephine. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. Well, like I said, we always do like a quick introduction. So please, can you give us quite a brief intro of yourself? Thank you.
My name is Demola Olarenwaju. I'm a PDP member and a political and media strategist.
All right. All right. Thank you very much for that. So let's go to our first question. Now, from your experience and perspective, what are the factors responsible for political apathy displayed by millennials and Gen Z towards the elections in Nigeria?
Well, I think it's not something that's unique to that generation, and I think in a couple of years, as the political culture becomes deepened in Nigeria, a lot more millennials and Gen Z folks will participate in elections. But what we've seen over the years is that politics as an engagement has been demonized, by the various military regimes. Remember the first military coup in 1966, which terminated in 1979, and then again from 1983, you had another military coup that terminated only in 1999. And so that the recent period of 16 years before 1999 led to a lot of political apathy in the country. Yeah. People simply do not have confidence in politics as an institution, because for the military to legitimize its hold on government, the military had to demonize politics, had to cast aspersions on politicians. And so what you have is a lot of people do not come into politics as an engagement. Even up to today, it's difficult when you say that you're a politician. There's a certain perception that people have about you. And so politics is quite demonized. And then the voting culture, the institutional problem of votes not counting, people believing that their votes do not count, is also another reason why people are turned off from politics. So those are some of the reasons that I think are responsible for this apathy, from those particular demographics, from the millennials and also from the Gen Z. Of course, the two of them are two different
generations.
Age classifications. They are two different generations. The millennials, for them, it's unique that they experience the military regimes. They experience the military regimes, and we grew up, hearing that politics was bad. And so people of my generation, I also happen to be a millennial. People of that generation do not see politics as a trustworthy engagement. And then for the Gen Z, most of whom grew up through the 1999 elections and so on. Some of the first elections that they saw, if you look at their age, a lot of them were about 8, 9, 10, when the 2007, the controversial 2007 election happened. And that election was a farce. So when you grow up, when you come of age, it goes into your subconscious that this entire process is fraudulent.
It's a waste.
So,
Yes.
both generations are tuned off from politics for different reasons, but leading to the same outcome, which is reduced participation or apathy towards the political process.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Being between Millennial and Gen Z myself, I think I can relate. So let's move to the second question. 2023 is a critical election for Nigeria, as it will shape the direction of its political economy. Now, as an active member of one of the leading political parties in Nigeria, why should the millennials be actively involved in the electoral process?
Well, the arguments basically are arguments for the entire polity or for all generations, basically.
Yeah.
Like I always say to people, in any country, in Nigeria, you are not born until you have something called a birth certificate that's issued by government.
Of course.
You are not educated until you have a school certificate that is issued by government. You are not married until you have a marriage certificate that is issued by government. You can't even die unless you have
a death
something called a death certificate issued by government. Your death is not confirmed, it's not registered. So for a government that is also powerful, for a people whose lives, whose destiny basically is shaped by the nature and the structure of the government of the day, whichever government that is, we have no option but to participate heavily in politics, because politics is the only way by which you would begin to take control of your destiny by influencing, the government policies. And so, as millennials begin to come into an age where, we are, about 3 generations ahead of the youngest generation, we need to take responsibility for our country, and I say to people a lot that one of the most fascinating things that I find is that in almost every election, you see the older generation, people who were born, in the days when the polity was quite vibrant, maybe people who came of age during the 1960 to 1966 period where every vote counted, and then those who voted in the 1979 to 1983 election cycles, they still want to come out and vote. There's an old woman somewhere in Sule. She's about 90 something. Nobody really knows her actual age, but she's quite old. She always wants to vote. She follows the issues, and she will say to you, on this particular issue, in this particular election, I'm voting for APC. In this other one, I'm voting for PDP. And you dare not put her hand in the wrong place. People have to actually assist her to vote. But she comes from a structure or from a generation that politics was highly priced. The cost of a vote, not in terms of cash now, but the political or the value cost of a vote was quite large. One vote could make a difference in an election. 2 votes could make a difference in an election. So millennials need to take voting seriously, because politics are voting, and voting as a part of the political procedure or a part of the political process determines the shape and nature of the government that determines our destiny.
Well, let's look a bit at social media, because that is greatly impacting politics these days. So social media is a powerful tool leveraged by millennials to definitely reach out to the world and air their own views. Now, how can they key into these platforms to create awareness on the need to participate in the forthcoming elections and get their permanent voters card?
Well, I think, at the end of the day, a lot of the effort still has to be physical, because, Nigeria's electoral process is still not well digitized enough.
Yes,
and
that's
so
true.
What you have is, even if social media is where you make the call, social media is where you try to do the publicity and tell people to pick up their PVCs, go and register for their PVCs and so on. People still have to get off the couch, or get off social media and actually walk all the way to an NIC registration point. Even if you can do all the pre-registration process online, you still have to actually go out there. And so social media is good for the publicity. Social media is good for for the call to action as it was. But at the end of the day, you still have to take that action. And I think the electoral body and a lot of civil society organizations have invested a lot of time and effort in terms of reaching out to millennials and Gen Z on social media asking them to go out and register to vote.
Yeah.
But of course, more can definitely be done.
Definitely.
We'd like to see more of that because, particularly because at this point, the INEC registration for this quarter, is the final one before the 2023 election.
Yeah.
What surprises me is that from the statistics and the data that we see, states like Osun State, states like Bayelsa, where you do not have heavy internet penetration as high as Lagos, they are turning out more voter registration numbers than states where there's high internet penetration. So what that suggests to me is that the one-on-one effort in terms of using traditional media, in terms of using conventional media, is still more effective than social media. So what it means is that there is something that civil society and INEC perhaps are not doing well enough on social media.
Right.
They need to deliberately cut social media influencers, deliberately, have a strategy basically that is targeted at social media in order to capture Gen Z and millennial new registration. Some of these ideas are not necessarily your it's not just a matter of creating a graphic picture and e-flyer and posting it on your Twitter handle and hoping that it goes viral enough. No, they need to get more creative in terms of using more media like TikTok, for instance, where short videos, and come up with creative challenges that people can engage in. Maybe the PVC challenge, so people can engage in on social media, because like I said, social media is not just about posting something on your Twitter handle and saying you've done social media.
Yeah.
It has to go beyond that. There has to be a well-crafted social media strategy towards capturing Gen Z and millennium new registrations.
All right. Thank you very much for your input so far. But before we go, we have one more question for you. Definitely there's a lot going on out there politically. And just as you've said, the numbers in some states are not as high as others. So, I mean, what would you have to say in 30 seconds? What would you have to say to all the youngsters out there in Nigeria and on why they should participate in the 2023 election? Because like you said, the most important thing at the end of the day is participation. So what would you have to say to those out there listening right now on the importance of participation?
I would say that government determines your destiny, government determines your life. Politics is the way to get into government, it's the way to ensure that government serves you. Right. If politics is the way to ensure that government serves you, and government is what determines your life and your destiny, then politics is the way to determine your own life and your destiny. Getting involved in politics, either as a voter or as an active political activist, is the way to take control of your destiny and to take control of your life as a Nigerian living under the government.
Right. Thank you very much. That was a wonderful one. All right. Thank you for coming on the show. We do appreciate your input, and we believe that a lot of people will definitely have a lot to take home from this conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me, Josephine.
All right. Have a good day. All right, guys, you have heard it here. Go out there and be a part of the process. Don't just be an onlooker for the forthcoming election in 2023. Well, if you would like to learn more about personal finance, the financial market, you can visit our website, www.proshare.co. Keep watching.